because Jehovah's Witnesses have no birthright. You have no birthright. Hence, you can't check anybody and you can't balance anything. You can't bring justice because you have no birthright. It's that people have every right to petition their government, and you have no right to speak one bad word about the governing body of Jehovah's Witness. If you're a Jehovah's Witness and you saw this video, you don't need to come back because you're empowered. You're a son of God now. You don't have to wait 1,000 years. That's why the American system of politics is so great, because it's empowering. God bless you all. Hey guys, it's GG here, and I wanted to do a video about the election and what, if you're a Jehovah's Witness, if you're currently a Jehovah's Witness, what you can learn from this election. You can learn a lot that's going on right now. And I'm not here to try to tell you, hey, you know, Trump won or Biden won or any of that stuff. I'm not an expert on that. But the video is to show, if you're a Jehovah's Witness or maybe an ex-Jehovah's Witness and you're looking at the election, why the American system of checks and balances is so important, and why Jehovah's Witnesses were told not to get involved in politics, don't study politics, stay away from that. Because what we're seeing right now in the election is so great and so beautiful, the way I see it, is because I see great checks and great balances everywhere. And we're going to talk about these. I kind of broke it up into 5 sections. The point I'm trying to say is that, we're going to talk about at the very end, that when you look at what's happening in the politics scene right now, now you're going to see the difference between the Americans and how they operate, and why the Jehovah's Witnesses operate a different way. And it all basically boils down to that there's no checks and there's no balances. So again, I'm not here to talk about Trump or Biden as the winners. First, I want you to see this clip here, and it has to do with Rudy Giuliani, and he reprimands the media because he says, who is the one that decides the votes? And it's not the media. And you see, if you're a Jehovah's Witness, you just watch the news and you say, oh, well, the media says this, and I guess that's how it is. Because you don't understand American history and the American process. And so one of the issues right now with the checks and the balances is that, hey, the media has a role. They can do the checks and the balances, but they have not been set as kingmakers. You see, they're not kingmakers. And there's more. We're going to talk about more than one different checks and balances, but that's very key, because if you're a Jehovah's Witness, you probably believe whatever you're told on the news. Whatever you're told on the news is gospel. But that's not true, because they're not the ones that make the decisions. And once that penetrates your brain and you're like, that's right, the news media isn't the one that makes the decisions, then that is the beginning to the path that hopefully most of us have taken, which is a path of independent thinking. Now, the second one is words mean things. So when people say president-elect, look at these 2 clips right here. In this Newsmax clips, it says, Kelly then added, everything you're seeing tonight is an illusion. There is no president-elect. Even the term president-elect is a media fabrication. We don't have a president-elect until the electors come and they nominate a president-elect, and that happens sometime next month. This is still in dispute. Constitutionally, though, nothing significant has happened. In this clip, you'll see that we still have till December 8th and December 14th before the states vote for president. So you see, the purpose is that words mean things. What you're seeing right now is that people in the media and everywhere, they're using words, but they don't understand that words actually mean things. And they don't understand that the words that they're using are not even valid. So that's very, very key in your road to independent thinking and understanding that when words mean things, you just can't say, well, he said this. No. That word has a meaning. And you can't just use it nonchalantly. And that's what happens a lot when in communist countries. They use the words and they twist the words and they empower people by manipulating the language. And so this is what happens too. They give you an illusion of a president-elect when that doesn't happen till another month from now. So again, this is what happens when you're a Jehovah's Witness. You don't understand the simple concept that words mean things, and they're not to be used in any other way other than its original meaning. And anything outside of that is manipulation. Okay, the third point has to do with how the voters have rights. Voters have rights, and they have a right to vote. And now we have the checks and balances. So one of the checks, let's look at this clip here. World champion boxer Joe Frazier voted this year in Pennsylvania, but he skipped campaigning for the Joe Biden because he's been dead since 2011. So you see, the president of the United States now has a right to say, hey, we're going to go back and we're going to look, or not the president, but any candidate can go and say, we're going to look to see if the people that are actually voting are alive or dead. Now, we also have these two clips here. How is that possible? California man finds dozens of mail ballots discarded in the trash alley cans. Look at this clip. Massive bags of mail mysteriously dumped in Southern California, and one dump was caught on camera. So now do you understand why right after the election, hey, there's a lot of investigations that need to go on. They need to make sure that everybody, every individual voter's rights were to vote was carried on. So we need to not only find out where these ballots are, but also they need to be prosecuted, because it goes back to the checks and the balances. Is there foul play here, and who's responsible for the foul play? Now, speaking about the trash can votes and the votes that they've been finding in the side of the road on ditches, it says, look at this clip, it says, fact check this now. Here's the current narrative. Trump has the government watermark the ballots. This means that the mark can only be seen under a specific light. Therefore, we will soon know if the ballots counted were real or fraudulent. And look at this one. Consider this. The Department of Homeland Security controlled official ballot production. Dams print extras, not knowing about non-radioactive isotope watermarks on official ballots. Military sting operation. After weeding out all counterfeit ballots, Trump landslide confirmed. Okay, so we don't know where that is leading, but the point is, when it talks about the non-radioactive isotopes that they're emitting, that's how they're finding these ballots. You say, well, how did they find the ballots over here in the trash can? How did they find the ballots over here in the canal? Well, it's because they're emitting non-radioactive isotopes. Those of you who know about, if ever delivered parts for hospitals, and some of the equipment is radioactive. And so if you ever delivered parts way out there in the middle of nowhere to maybe an Indian reservation like I have, the Border Patrol says, hey, what are you doing? You know, they know everything about you. And one case, I was driving and there was a drone above me, and he was monitoring me because the van I was driving was emitting radiation, but it was going to go to the hospital. But the point is that there's a lot of technology, and that's part of the checks and balances, is what I'm saying. So the president has a right to say, or the government has a right to say, we're going to check on the states to make sure that they're not cheating by putting these watermarks and putting these security guards in place. Again, it goes back to a checks and balance, and that's the point right here. Okay, we already talked about how we have rights, and we have a right to find out who's what's fraud and what is legit, so that way our legit vote isn't countered by fraudulent votes. So we have rights, right? Now, there's another rights that people don't understand about the checks and the balances. If you're a Jehovah's Witness, you don't know this. And if you look, for example, in my state of Arizona, you'll see that the structure of the representatives right now is the Republican Party controls the House of Representatives and the state level. Now, the next one would be the Senate. Okay, they have a majority. So you say, Gilbert, what's the point? Well, the point is what Mark Levin talks about, is that when a lot of people don't understand that in the Constitution, the people have a right to vote. And who's going to check and balance the people? Well, the legislature can say, hey, thank you very much for everything all of the city clerks have done, all of the county clerks have done. Thank you for everything that you've done, Secretary of State. But the legislature can say, you're wrong. We have voter fraud. And we're going to make the final decision. So it's called the check and a balance. And when you look at all the other states like Wisconsin and Georgia and so forth, they have a Republican-controlled Congress. So that's what you see is called checks and balance. So if there's massive fraud that's undeniable, then the legislatures can kick in. Hence, the point is, it's called checks and balance. Now, if you look over here on this particular one, it says, update. Corrupted software that stole 6,000 votes from Trump in Michigan County shut down for 2 hours in red counties in Georgia on election day. The next one, huge corrupt software used in Michigan County that stole 6,000 votes for Trump is also used in all the swing states. So you see, it's information like that that can trigger the legislatures and states to do the check and the balance. Let's look at this clip here. Wisconsin fraud. Absentee ballots illegally altered under Election Commission order. So Wisconsin law states that an absentee ballot may be signed by a witness who must also list his or her address. And if it's not listed and the ballot is considered invalid, it must be returned to the voter to be corrected. So we're dealing with thousands of these. So there's checks and balances. So recalls can be ordered. And now we have another check and balance. Justice Alito temporarily grants Pennsylvania GOP request to enforce segregation of ballots that arrive after Election Day. And this is not the end of what the checks and balances we'll see from the Supreme Court. Hence, now do you understand why there is no president-elect? Because the time frame from the election day to the actual day gives plenty of time for the states and the lawyers and all the candidates to fight out, the legalities of the questions that are being asked. So now we understand that the states have rights, the individuals have rights, the voters have rights as a whole, but also the individual voter has rights. And let me show you something. And it has to do with a Sharpie Gate in Arizona when we're out there doing the protests, and we're talking about the Sharpie issue. And also, but before I talk about that, we're going to talk about what happened in Pennsylvania in this news article right here. It says Pennsylvania-based United States Post Office whistleblower Richard Hopkins comes forward and agrees to testify. Notice he agrees to testify that late ballots backdated on November 3rd election day. Whistleblower and other employees feel the same. I will testify before Congress about what I heard. This is very important because it says right there that he agrees to testify. And what they're telling you down, for example, here in Arizona with Sharpiegate is the same thing as happened to this postal employee. You have to actually fill out a form and you have to have it notarized with your description of events. And you actually swear before a penalty of perjury that, hey, I as an individual have been harmed. And this is very important because now this postal service worker and all of the people that are in Arizona saying I was misled, I was given a Sharpie, and they knew that it was going to bleed through and it was going to be rejected. So what happens is you sign under penalty of perjury. And now when they take this to the courts can't say, oh, well, no, we already resolved that issue. No. Because it's an individual has a right. And so now you got thousands of individuals and they're signing affidavits. They're signing under penalty of perjury that they can go to jail if they're caught lying. So here we have the checks and the balances. So now the county recorder, right, is saying, we counted the ballots. And we're like, okay, we're going to do a check and a balance on you. You say you counted, but we have these people saying this. And these people can't be ignored because they have sworn under penalty of perjury. See the point about the checks and the balances? Jehovah's Witnesses, this is so important about the checks and the balances. We're going to talk about it right now. So you see, we talked about a few different topics about what's happening right now in the news. And now can you see why Watchtower does not want you to get involved in politics? So if you're Jehovah's Witness saying, well, what does all this have to do with me? Well, when you understand that you have a civic duty, to your community, it will lead you to understand that God has given you a birthright. He has given you a birthright, and you have to defend that birthright. Now, because of the sacrifice of Jesus, we all have a birthright. But yet you Jehovah's Witnesses say that you will not have your birthright. You will not be called sons of God for another 1,000 years after Armageddon. You know that to be true. If you're a Jehovah's Witness and you're saying, what? Well, you don't even know, a lot of you Jehovah's Witnesses don't even know that the official teaching is you will not be sons of God until 1,000 years after Armageddon. And the only people that are sons of God are the leadership of your religion. Think of how arrogant that is. The difference is that we as Americans know that we have a birthright today. We are children of God. We are sons of God. Plus, we also have another birthright. We have a birthright to our family because of our mother and our father and our mother. We have a birthright and a place in our family that nobody can take away. Remember also that the Apostle Paul was an apostle to the nations. Well, when you study American history, you understand that each and every American has a birthright that was given to him. And if he is adopted by immigration, he too receives the birthright of America. And my friends, that is empowering. And that is why the Jehovah's Witnesses don't want you to know what's happening. They don't want you to understand the politics of America and the systems of checks and balances. So when you see apostates talking about the disfellowshipping issue, the child abuse issue, or they see you talking about the suicide issue, or the blood issue, or all of the doctrine abnormalities like the 607 and 1919 and the overlapping generation, all these things, the selling of the kingdom halls and where the money goes, it doesn't stay in the community. All of these issues have no checks and balances. You see, that's the point. There's no check over here and a balance over there. Why? Because Jehovah's Witnesses have no birthright. You have no birthright. Hence, you can't check anybody and you can't balance anything. You can't bring justice because you have no birthright. You have been told that your birthright is not coming until another 1,000 years. So you have to just shut up for 1,000 years. But if you have a birthright, you can speak as loud as you want because you have a birthright. That's empowering. And you can check and you can create a balance. You see? You see the difference? So no wonder you Jehovah's Witnesses are hunkering down in your homes and you're afraid because a spirit has come and a spirit of fear has come and overtaken you. A spirit of fear has overtaken the Jehovah's Witnesses. When Jesus says, hey, if you're saying this is the end, Jesus says, hey, raise your head up high, be happy, right? But no, not you. You have a spirit of fear because you forfeited your birthright. And what you're seeing right now all across America and the people protesting on this side of that, they have a right to do so, but you don't. And that's what you can learn. So all of these things that I showed you, it's not to try to sway you over here, over there. It's that people have every right to petition their government. And you have no right to speak one bad word about the governing body of Jehovah's Witness. You have no right to question anybody or anything in the organization. Do you understand that? You shut up.
Shut up.
And don't question anything.
Shut up.
Don't question the ballots. Don't question the mail. Don't question the computers. Don't question the watermarks. Don't question. We will tell you who the winner is.
Shut up.
But that's not your place. That belongs to somebody else. When the media says, this person won, it's like Jesus saying, whoa. Who gave you the seat at the very front of the table? No. You get your ass back to the back of the table because that's not your duty. You see, that's an overstep. That's usurping your power. And that's what you're seeing here. What you're also seeing is that in your organization, you need to sit your sorry ass down. You have no birthright. So I hope this video helped. I hope, I made the connection between what's happening now and what's happening in the Jehovah's Witness religion. And you see, and the wheels would turn. And you understand that all of this is good. Every last bit of things that you're seeing in the media and also in the alternative media everywhere, it's all good. It's all good. Because it brings light. Light is the great disinfectant. And also people, now you can see where they always stood. You say, I just got a phone call. And the guy goes, Gilbert, what do you think about this? I go, it's great. Now we know the truth about that guy. That guy was always lying to you. Everything he said does not pan out to what he's doing. We can see things now. So it's all beautiful. Same thing. Now you can see why Watchtower was telling you not to get involved in politics, because they didn't want to empower you. They didn't want you empowered, and they didn't want you to accept the birthright. Because if you accept the American birthright, you're going to accept the birthright with your mom and dad, who's disfellowshipped. Your mom and dad's disfellowshipped, or your son's. You see, that's why they disfellowship you. You get rid of the birthrights. But when you come back together as a family, now you have a family and you have a birthright. And then you understand, oh my God, I have the birthright with Jesus. Oh my God, I'm empowered. I'm an individual. I don't need Watchtower no more. I don't need the governing body. You don't even need me. You don't need to come back. If you saw this video, you don't need to come back because you're empowered. If you're a Jehovah's Witness and you saw this video, you don't need to come back because you're empowered. You're a son of God now. You don't have to wait 1,000 years. That's why the American system of politics is so great, because it's empowering. God bless you all.